Okay, my friends, here it is. The Monday morning live stream at the Thrive Like a Viking headquarters. We are back to the book today, guys. So let me know where you're at and did you read chapter 7? If not, it's okay because this chapter is really profound. I mean, they're all profound, but in this chapter, he really outlines things that I've been saying for a long time, that I've said repeatedly on this channel across so many different of the live streams. But I'm going to actually read a lot of this chapter because it's in his words, and the way he describes the ultimate reality is just poetic and wonderful and beautiful and easy to grasp. So we are going to get into that here in just a moment. And the meditation we're going to do today is the meditation from the beginning of chapter 7. So I will guide you through that. Okay? So let us see who is here, what you guys are up to. Let me know if you're here. Sorry we missed last week, guys, but it's just one of those things where, sometimes you got to know where your boundaries are as far as overextending yourself. And sometimes, and ask me how I know this, from a lifetime of not knowing my boundaries and overextending myself. But then several years ago, after the awakening process was complete, now it's no longer a question. I know my boundaries perfectly, and I know when to say no, and I know when to listen to what the body is telling me, and I know how to listen to that. And so instead of just, no, I just gotta do it anyways. Nope, sorry, we're gonna take this week off. That's what happened last week. And so I felt refreshed because there was many things needing done. Yes? So that's where we were. And Ginia McDonald, good morning, my friend, says good morning from Southwestern Virginia. Creative Soil, many blessings from Oklahoma. Cold plunge is more like a cool dip. I've been using ice packs. Yes, I know. That's the thing. Everybody wants to take cold showers and do outdoor cold plunges in the summertime. But in the middle of winter, it's a whole different experience. So we're going to get into the book here in just a moment, guys, but I want to make sure everybody is here. Brian Airy, yes, a true believer. He is always here. Thank you, my friend. That's how I was in school. I never missed a day of school my entire life. Brian says, good morning, Nate and Tribe. Much blessings and peace from warm Southwest Kansas. Warm, huh? Ms. T, good to see you here, my friend. Says, greeting, Thrive Vibers. Sending you all love, light, and peace from Eastern Texas. May we all rock the now. Yes, we are going to rock it, my friend, no doubt. Claire Elward, yes, good morning. Muddy Paws, good morning. Val Thatcher, good morning. Missed you. Glad we are here now. Yes, is there any other time? Of course not. And we are here now. So let us commence here in just a moment. Mick Hegarty, good morning, Tribe. Love to be here finally. Yes, good to see you here again, my friend. Muddy Paw says, love y'all. Always take care of self first. No one else will. That is exactly right. He's talking about he's in reference to what I was describing about last week, why we had to take a break, and why it's perfectly fine, guys. Know your boundaries. That is such a beautiful aspect of aging gracefully. And the wisdom that comes with age. You know how to listen to your body, and you know that this life is a marathon. It is not a sprint. The first 25, 30 years of my life, I thought it was a sprint. And I didn't understand. It's a marathon. It's the ultimate marathon. It's like a triathlon. It's an Ironman. Okay, so you pace yourself. Then you don't gain anything by destroying your body, by going and going and going at the expense of your well-being. You don't gain anything that way. So that is why we can effortlessly say things like, hey guys, we got to take last week off, okay? So we got it. Muddy Paw says, I'm a girl. Are you really? This whole time, I don't know why, I thought you were a guy. So good to know. So Lita knows, says first time live, thrive. All right, my friend, good to see you here. We are going to get into this book that we've been reading, which even if you haven't read the book, it doesn't matter. It's going to be relevant to your life. So we're going to get into it here. Miss KC says, greetings all. I'm on summer break and I'm so happy to make the lives again. Yes, glad you're here. Crystal Jones says, good morning. Nancy Cagle, blessings from Chattanooga. So glad to be here with you all. Carol Fago, good morning. Okay, guys, so we're going to drop into our live like we normally do with a meditation, except this time we are going to do the it's like an undoing, the meditation that Eckhart says in the beginning of chapter 7. All right? So, and then we're going to go on and discuss the rest of the chapter. Now, I've highlighted several things in this chapter that I want to comment on, I want to discuss. But like I said, a lot of it we're going to use Eckhart's words because I've been saying this over and over in so many different ways that it's great to hear his words really saying the same thing. All right. So all you guys are saying you're girls and stuff. Didn't know. Well, Claire, I kind of figured, of course. And Val, I kind of figured that. Okay, so here is the meditation, okay? I'm just going to read it, and I'm going to add some things of my own. So let us get into the meditative state of mind in the same way that we always do. And that is by taking a few deep, conscious breaths, breathing fully in. Hold. Let it go. Again, breathing fully in. Hold. Let it go. Last one. Fill the lungs as deeply as you can. Hold. Let it go. Now that you are in the meditative state of mind, follow along with us. This is Eckhart describing his ideal meditation. The questioner says, I can feel the energy inside my body, especially in my arms and legs, but I don't seem to be able to go more deeply, as you suggested earlier. Eckhart says, make it into a meditation. It needn't take long. 10 to 15 minutes of clock time should be sufficient. We won't do that long, though. We're only going to do about 7. He says, make sure first that there is no external distractions, such as telephones or people who are likely to interrupt you. Sit on a chair, but don't lean back. Keep the spine erect, which I always say as well. Doing so will help you to stay alert. Alternatively, choose your own favorite position for meditation. Then Eckhart says, make sure the body is relaxed. Close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths. Spine is straight. Body is relaxed. Eyes are closed. Take a few deep breaths. And then allow the body to breathe in whatever way it wants to breathe. Feel yourself breathing into the lower abdomen, as it were. Observe how it expands and contracts slightly with each in and out breath. These are all Eckhart's words from here out. I won't add anything of my own. Feel yourself breathing into the lower abdomen. Observe how it expands and contracts slightly with each in and out breath. Then become aware of the entire inner energy field of the body. Don't think about it, feel it. By doing this, you reclaim consciousness from the mind. If you find it helpful, use the light visualization I described earlier, which we don't need to because you guys are proficient meditators already. He says, become aware of the entire energy field, inner energy field of the body. Don't think about it, just feel it. Just feel it. When you can feel the inner body clearly as a single field of energy, let go, if possible, of any visual image and focus exclusively on the feeling. If you can, also drop any mental image you may still have of the physical body. All that is left, then, is an all-encompassing sense of presence or beingness, and the inner body is felt to be without a boundary. I'm going to read it again. When you can feel the inner body clearly as a single field of energy, let go of any visual image and focus exclusively on the feeling. Also, drop any mental image you may still have of the physical body. All that is left then is an all-encompassing sense of presence or beingness, and the inner body is felt to be without a boundary. The inner body is felt to be without a boundary because there is no boundary. There is only the one. Eckhart says, then take your attention even more deeply into that feeling. Become one with it. Merge with the energy field so that there is no longer a perceived duality of the observer and the observed, of you and your body. The distinction between inner and outer also dissolves now, so there is no inner body anymore. By going deeply into the body, you have transcended the body. I'll read that again. Now take your attention even more deeply into that feeling. Become one with it. Merge with the energy field so that there is no longer a perceived duality of the observer and the observed, of you and your body. The distinction between inner and outer also dissolves now, so there is no inner body anymore. By going deeply into the body, you have transcended the body. Eckhart says, stay in this realm of pure being for as long as feels comfortable. Stay in this realm for a moment. I have to take this sweatsuit off. It's boiling hot. That's better. Okay, my friends, Eckhart says, stay in this realm of pure being for as long as feels comfortable. Then become aware again of the physical body, your breathing and physical senses, and open your eyes. Look at your surroundings for a few minutes in a meditative way. That is, without labeling them mentally. and continue to feel the inner body as you do so. Then he says, having access to that formless realm is truly liberating. It frees you from bondage to form and identification with form. It is life in its undifferentiated state prior to its fragmentation into multiplicity. We may call it the unmanifested, the invisible source of all things, the being within all beings. It is a realm of deep stillness and peace, but also of joy and intense aliveness. Okay, my friends, let us come out of the meditation with a few deep conscious breaths, breathing fully in. Hold. And let it go. Again, breathing fully in. Hold. And let it go. Last one, fill the lungs. Hold. Hold. And let it go. Okay, guys, so I just wanted to read that meditation. That's different than our typical way that we do things, where we just kind of freestyle the meditation, but it's very simple. This is the meditation that Eckhart recommends. Very simple. Just going within, feeling the inner energy field of the body, which is what we do as well, which is ultimately what meditation is ultimately the only meditation that you need. So, I'm going to begin reading and commenting on this chapter because I want to stick with it. I'm going to make a playlist of these lives as far as the ones where we did the book. So if you have any questions along the way, please let me know. If you have any questions about Chapter 7 at all, please let me know. That can be very helpful to further the conversation. But good to see you, Jerry. Good to see you, VA Green. So, the sort, and I'm going to read a bit more than I typically do from this, just because, especially when we get into the middle of it, because it's so vitally important, right? So the questioner says, is the unmanifested what in the East is called chi, a kind of universal life force? Eckhart says, no, it isn't. The unmanifested is the source of chi. Chi is the inner energy field of your body. It is the bridge between the outer you and the source. It lies halfway between the manifested, the world of form, and the unmanifested. Chi can be likened to a river or an energy stream. If you take the focus of your consciousness deeply into your body, you are tracing the course of this river back to its source. Chi is movement. The unmanifested is stillness. This is what I want you to remember, he says. Chi is movement. The unmanifested is stillness. When you reach a point of absolute stillness, which is nevertheless vibrant with life, you have gone beyond the inner body and beyond chi to the source itself, the unmanifested. Chi is the link between the unmanifested and the physical universe. It's very important to remember this because we can talk about chi in the future, especially if we get into the Taoist practice of energy cultivation, which we may do on this channel. So Eckhart says, so if you take your attention deeply into the inner body, you may reach this point, this singularity where the world dissolves into the unmanifested and the unmanifested takes on form as the energy stream of chi, which then becomes the world. This is the point of birth and death. When your consciousness is directed outwards, mind and world arise. When it is directed inwards, it realizes its own source and returns home to the unmanifested. This is the point of birth and death. When your consciousness is directed outward, mind and world arise. What have I been saying for a long time? Time and space, mind and world are ultimately an illusion. So, Eckhart says, now let your spiritual practice be this. As you go about your life, don't give 100% of your attention to the external world. Keep some within. Feel the inner body even when engaged in everyday activities, especially when engaged in relationships or when you are relating with nature. Feel the stillness deep inside of it. Keep the portal open. It is quite possible to be conscious of the unmanifested throughout your life. You feel it as a deep sense of peace somewhere in the background, a stillness that never leaves you, no matter what happens out here. You become a bridge between the unmanifested and the manifested, between God and the world. This is the state of connectedness with a source that we call enlightenment. This is what I've been saying for some time, my friends. Once you get connected with the source of creation within you, the deep stillness and the peace, it never leaves you. It's always there because it is the underlying substratum by which all things exist. We will get into that deeper in this chapter. That's why I'm not going to do a lot of commentary, more reading on this chapter. Eckhart says, don't get the impression that the unmanifested is separate from the manifested. How could it be? It is the life within every form, the inner essence of all that exists. It pervades this world. He says, let me explain. You take a journey into the unmanifested every night when you enter the phase of deep dreamless sleep. You merge with the source. You draw from it the vital energy that sustains you for a while when you return to the manifested, the world of separate forms. This energy is much more vital than food. Man does not live by bread alone, he quotes the Bible there. But in dreamless sleep, you don't go into it consciously. Okay, so I want to comment on that. He says, you merge with the source. You draw from it the vital energy that sustains you when you return to the manifested world of separate forms. Guys, if you investigate sleep, like in the Vedic traditions or in the Taoist traditions or in the Hindu traditions, when I was in India, sleep, the world of sleep is very profound and very important. Can you imagine this? That without sleep, you will die. Our body will die without sleep. Yet, what is sleep? What do? We don't plug in anywhere. We're not drawing anything. We're not plugging ourselves into an outlet. Where's the energy coming from? What is happening? Why will we die without sleep? And how is it that when we go into deep sleep, we awake with more energy? We awake refreshed and full of life and enthusiasm. How is this possible? What is happening? But Eckhart says, you draw from it the vital energy that sustains you. And this is exactly what happens because you get out of the way. The you that you think that you are, the mind, the chattering mind, the ego mind, the commentator in the head, dissolves and you become one with the unmanifested once again. And you draw from it this life force. Every one of us draws from it the same life force. There's only one source. And we draw from this during sleep. And it recharges the body and it feels magnificent and it feels peaceful and serene and beautiful. And everybody wants a good quality of sleep. It's restorative, but we're not plugging into anything. We're drawing it from the ether, the source. So that when we come back into this world of apparent form, we have energy. When you're in deep sleep, what happens? There is no world. There is no family. You have no family. You have no body. You have no anything, no past, future, nothing. There's only the oneness. Nothing stands out from it. You merge with the source every night in deep, dreamless sleep. This has profound implications when you realize this. So, Eckhart says, although the bodily functions are still operating, you no longer exist in that state. Can you imagine what it would be like to go into dreamless sleep with full consciousness? It is impossible to imagine because that state has no content. It has no objects. It has no things. We just poof, not even time. Think about when you go into deep sleep. Poof, poof. There's no time. You have no experience of anything because you are not there, because you don't exist, ultimately. Eckhart says, the unmanifested does not liberate you until you enter it consciously. That's why Jesus did not say the truth will make you free, but rather you will know the truth and the truth will make you free. This is not a conceptual truth. It is the truth of eternal life beyond form, which is known directly or not at all. It is known directly or it's not known at all. And the vast majority of people never have direct knowledge of the eternal. They never have direct knowledge of the formless experience. He then says, and a lot of people ask me about lucid dreaming, which I've done all the time. I lucid dream all the time, but it's not, I used to get really hung up on it. Eckhart says, but don't attempt to stay conscious in dreamless sleep. It is highly unlikely you will succeed. At most, you may remain conscious during the dream phase, but not beyond that. This is called lucid dreaming, which may be interesting and fascinating, but it is not liberating. It's not liberating. He says, so use your inner body as a portal through which you enter the unmanifested and keep the portal open so that you stay connected with the source at all times. This is possible, guys. And he says it makes no difference as far as the inner body is concerned, whether your outer physical body is old or young, frail or strong. The inner body is timeless. Yes, the inner body is timeless. Then he goes on. Other portals. The now can be seen as the main portal. It is an essential aspect of every other portal, including the inner body. You cannot be in your body without being intensely present in the now. Time and the manifested are as inextricably linked as are the timeless now and the unmanifested. Listen to that. I highlighted that because time and the manifested are as inextricably linked as are the timeless now and the unmanifested. The human mind is a machine of dualistic creating, of creating dualism. The human mind takes the one, all that is, and through the five senses and the perception of them, creates the illusion of duality, of many, of multiplicity, of the world. When you dissolve psychological time through intense present moment awareness, you become conscious of the unmanifested, both directly and indirectly. Now, notice how he words that. When you dissolve psychological time through intense present moment awareness, you become conscious. So he didn't say when you dissolve the hour hand on the clock or when you dissolve time, because there is still, we're not, you still have to operate in this realm where we say, okay, be at the appointment at 4 o'clock. That kind of time still is there and exists in a relative sense. Psychological time, past and future. I have a past and I'm moving into the future. These are the illusion. This is the dream. So directly, you feel it as the radiance and power of your conscious presence. No content, just presence. Indirectly, you are aware of the unmanifested in and through the sensory realm. In other words, you feel the God essence in every creature, every flower, every stone, and you realize all that is holy. This is why Jesus, speaking entirely from his essence or Christ identity, says in the Gospel of Thomas, "Split a piece of wood, I am there. Lift up a stone, and you will find me there." Because when you dissolve psychological time and you know yourself as the one self, the unmanifested, without form, before form, then you know that you are inseparable from all that is, from the totality of all that is, the unmanifested. So, Eckhart then says, another portal into the unmanifested is created through the cessation of thinking. Thought is part of the realm of the manifested. Continuous mind activity keeps you imprisoned in the world of form and becomes an opaque screen that prevents you from becoming conscious of the unmanifested. conscious of the formless and timeless God essence in yourself and in all things and all creatures. Remember this, guys. Thought is part of the realm of the manifested. Continuous mind activity keeps you imprisoned in the world of form and becomes an opaque screen that prevents you from becoming conscious. Continuous mind activity. This is why in our modern culture it is pushed heavily to continuous mind activity. Social media, Instagram, Facebook, likes, dislikes, and even podcasts, knowledge. Got to get more knowledge. Got to listen to the next podcast. Got to get the next thing. Absorb all the knowledge, and got to read books, but got to do it really fast. Got to speed read. All that stuff is designed to keep us engaged with the thinking mind so that you can't know your true self as the unmanifested. And when you know that, when you touch that within yourself, like he was saying in the previous paragraph, you will see it everywhere. Once you have dissolved and you know yourself as the light of consciousness, the light of creation, the source of creation, you will see it everywhere. You will see it in every person. You will see that there are not people. There is only you, the essence, everywhere. You see it in every creature that moves, every animal, everything becomes sacred. Everything becomes sacred. Every movement, every little flap of a bird's wing, every smile that you see. You watch kids play and you see them, the look in their eyes, the smile. All of this is the essence of God. And it is the most beautiful. I have goosebumps because it can't be described. It's only felt. And it only can be felt when you get out of the way. You have to get out of your way. Eckhart says, when you are intensely present, you don't need to be concerned about the cessation of thinking, of course, because the mind then stops automatically. That's why I said the now is an essential aspect of every other portal. And that is why I always say that the goal of the meditations that we do, of any meditation, is not to see how many breaths you can go before the mind comes back in. It's not to try and force the cessation of thinking. That can't happen. It can happen for a while, but it will come back. It's like the breathing. You can stop breathing for a while, but it will come back. That's the nature of this organism. It is also the nature of the mind to think in the same way. You can stop it for a while, but it will come back eventually. But when you are intensely present, you don't need to be concerned about the cessation of thinking because the mind stops automatically. I know many of you have experienced this already. The presence disassociates you from the mind, and it becomes completely irrelevant what is happening in the mind. And the mind becomes your friend instead of your enemy that is nagging at you and bringing you down or making you feel stressed or making you feel all these other things. So when you become present, all of that stops automatically. You don't have to try and, okay, I'm supposed to not be thinking. I need to get these thoughts out of the mind. That's not the way. That's not the way for permanent, long-term, sustainable living. The way is to increase your presence, and the presence will do that automatically. Oh man, Muddy Paws says, I'm watching my baby chicks playing in the yard while listening to this, and my spirit remembers itself today. Exactly what we're talking about, my friend. Thank you. Okay, here's another portal, Eckhart says. A portal into presence, a portal into the now. Surrender. Letting go of mental emotional resistance to what is also becomes a portal into the unmanifested. The reason for this is simple. Inner resistance cuts you off from other people, from yourself, from the world around you. It strengthens the feeling of separateness on which the ego depends for its survival. The stronger the feeling of separateness, the more you are bound to the manifested, to the world of separate forms. Listen to that, guys. This will explain to you, when you understand deeply, this will explain to you the insanity that you might feel that you see in the world today. Some of you might feel that the world's gone a little bit insane. And when you understand this deeply, just what is being said here, you understand why. Because inner resistance, the reason for this is simple. Inner resistance cuts you off from other people, from yourself, from the world around you. It strengthens the feeling of separateness on which the ego depends for its survival. The stronger the feeling of separateness, the more you are bound to this world. So that's why it's pushed on everybody to create your identity, be who you are, this unique little identity, and they try to force you to be the most, to self-identify with the tiniest, ever increasingly tiny minutiae of little divisions. I am this race, of this particular country, of this particular religion, of this particular household, of this particular gender, and then all these other gender things that you can be. I'm this, until you're just this tiny little box, and you're as bound as you could possibly be to this world of manifested. The world of separate forms. The more you are bound to the world of form, the harder and more impenetrable your form identity becomes. The portal is closed, and you are cut off from the inner dimension, the dimension of depth. In the state of surrender, your form identity softens and becomes somewhat transparent to so the unmanifested can shine through you. Yes? The portal, this is why it's being pushed on people through social outlets and all of this stuff, to self-identify in as tiny little thing as you can, and to have a real strong identity of who I think I am, which is all an illusory joke. It's because the more you are bound to the world, the portal is closed. The portal is closed, and you are cut off from the inner dimension, the dimension of depth. That's the only way that you can manipulate and control people, is by cutting them off from the inner dimension, because the inner dimension is pure radiant light and joy and happiness and freedom and love, unity. And I don't just mean like romantic love, I mean love. I mean unconditional compassion, fierce compassion and love, unity, the separation of individuals. That dissolves, okay? So the more you are identified with the world of form, the more the portal is closed and you are cut off from the inner dimension. The easier you are to control, the easier you are to manipulate, the more depressed you will become, the more maniacal you will become, the more frivolous you will spend your energies and your life monies and your life energies, the more frivolous you will just let all of that just dissolve and fizzle out, without focusing the energies to realize the nature of reality as wholeness and of love. Eckhart then says, it is up to you to open a portal in your life that gives you conscious access to the unmanifested. Get in touch with the energy field of the inner body. Be intensely present. Disidentify from the mind. Surrender to what is. These are all portals you can use, but you only need to use one. Listen to that. Do this. This is what all the practices are about. This is what the whole thing. This is the whole thing. It's up to you to open the portal in your life that gives you conscious access to the unmanifested, the source of all creation. Get in touch with the energy field of the inner body. Be intensely present. Intensely present. Disidentify from the mind and surrender to the reality of what is. We will talk more about what is in future casts. So the questioner then says, surely love must also be one of those portals. And she's talking about like romantic love. Surely love must also be one of those portals. Eckhart says, no, it isn't. As soon as one of the portals is open, love is present in you as the feeling realization of oneness. Love isn't a portal. It's what comes through the portal into this world. As long as you are completely trapped in your form identity, there can be no real love. There can be no real love. This is what most people don't understand. And this is what we see in relationships, why there's so much strife and struggle in relationships, because it's two seeming individuals trapped in their form identity. And so real love cannot even shine through. And so there's all kinds of turmoil and dis-ease, disharmony, divorce, all kinds of things like that, because they are completely trapped in their form identity, and they are there is not real love like this. Your task is not to search for love, but to find a portal through which love can enter. Yes. You're not searching and trying to make it happen. Just become the portal through which love can enter this realm. That's what it's all about. So, Eckhart says, okay, let's go here. The questioner says, are there any other portals aside from those you just mentioned? Eckhart says, yes. The unmanifested is not separate from the manifested. It pervades this world, but it is so well disguised that almost everybody misses it completely. If you know where to look, you'll find it everywhere. A portal opens up every moment. Do you hear that dog barking in the distance, or that car passing by? Listen carefully. Can you feel the presence of the unmanifested in that? You can't? Look for it in the silence out of which the sound comes into which they return. Pay more attention to the silence than to the sounds. Paying attention to the outer silence creates inner silence. The mind becomes still. A portal is opening up. Now listen, guys. He's painting a picture. This is all very relevant. Eckhart says, every sound is born out of silence, dies back into silence, and during its lifespan is surrounded by silence. Silence enables the sound to be. It is an intrinsic but unmanifested part of every sound, every musical note, every song, every word. The unmanifested is present in this world as silence. Think of that, guys. If there was not silence, there would be no sound. There would be nothing to differentiate. It would not exist in any way. So, this is why it has been said that nothing in this world is so godlike as silence. All you have to do is pay attention to it. Even during a conversation, become conscious of the gaps between words, the brief silent intervals between sentences. As you do that, the dimension of stillness grows within you. So then he goes on to talk about space. Just as no sound can exist without silence, nothing can exist without no thing, without empty space that enables it to be. Every physical object or body has come out of nothing, is surrounded by nothing, and will eventually return to nothing. Are we understanding this? Allow the mind to get an exercise. We are exercising the psychological capabilities of your mind, of the mind right now. So allow it to be stretched in these ways. So pay attention. He's talking about, think of this and review it, analyze it in your mind. Every sound is born out of silence. If there was not silence, there would be no sound, because there would be nothing. There would be no pauses. If there was not the pauses in between musical notes, there would be no music. It would just be white noise. It's the pauses, it's the silence that makes the sound. Now he's going to use that to show you about space. Every physical object or body, your body, this book, everything, has come out of nothing, is surrounded by nothing, and will eventually return to nothing. Not only that, but inside every physical body, there is far more nothing than something. Physicists tell us that the solidity of matter is an illusion. I've been saying that for a long time as well, because that's my direct experience. Even seemingly solid matter, including your physical body, is nearly 100% empty space. So vast are the distances between the atoms compared to their size. Guys, I hope the sound is working. I really hope the sound is working. That it sounds okay and not blown out. Physicists tell us that the solidity of matter is an illusion. Even seemingly solid matter, including your physical body, is nearly 100% empty space. Solid matter. Guys, if the atoms stopped spinning right now, boom, you would be able to see directly through everything. You would not see anything. Just poof. If the atoms stopped spinning right now, everything would become invisible or transparent. Okay? All right, thanks guys. Thanks for confirming the sound is good. Even seemingly solid matter, including your physical body, is nearly 100% empty space. So vast are the distances between the atoms compared to their size. What is more, even inside every atom, there is mostly empty space. What is left is more like a vibrational frequency than particles of solid matter, more like a musical note. Guys, he is describing the absolute nature of reality. And I concur. I've experienced this. This is true. And this is what physics, quantum physics is now understanding, and the latest science is understanding, which the ancients already understood, utilizing the instrument of the body and mind. So even inside every atom, there is mostly empty space. What is left is more like a vibrational frequency than particles of solid matter, more like a musical note. Guys, the world is a dance. It is a musical song. It is vibration, frequency. The atoms are spinning. Everything is spinning and moving. Waves. Everything is wave field information. We do not live in a solid world. We live in a field of information. And this decoding device that is the mind decodes what it perceives to be true. That is malleable, adaptable. Buddhists have known this for 2,500 years. Form is emptiness. Emptiness is form, states the Heart Sutra, one of the best-known ancient Buddhist texts. The essence of all things is emptiness. So, let's see. So, guys, I hope you're enjoying this. Let's see here. Okay, yes. Well, we got to carry on, okay? So, she says... So the question is like, you seem to be implying emptiness is not just nothing. Is there some mysterious quality to it? What is this nothing? Eckhart says nothing. Space is the appearance of the unmanifested as an externalized phenomena in a sense-perceived world. That's about as much as one can say about it. And even that is kind of a paradox. It cannot become an object of knowledge. So the mind is going to try and figure it out. I know a lot of you right now are going, okay, well, what is this nothing? How can there be nothing? The mind is wanting to figure it out, but it can't. It's a paradox. It's from this. It's coming from this. So just allow these words to paint the picture. Nothing can only become a portal into the unmanifested for you if you don't try to grasp or understand it, because then the mind comes back into play. She says, isn't that what we are doing here? Eckhart says, not at all. I am giving you pointers to show you how you can bring the dimension of the unmanifested into your life. We are not trying to understand it. There is nothing to understand. There is nothing to understand. Poof. So what happens if you withdraw attention from the objects in space and become aware of space itself? What is the essence of this room that we are in? The furniture, the pictures, and so on are in the room, but they are not the room. The floor, walls, and ceiling define the boundary of the room, but they are not the room either. So what is the essence of the room? Space, of course. Empty space. There would be no room without it. Since space is nothing, we can say that what is not there is more important than what is there. So become aware of the space that is all around you. Don't think about it, feel it. Pay attention to nothing. You understand what he's saying? Without the space, this room would not be. The room you are in would not be. There are things in the space, the chair, the TV, all of that stuff, but without the space, there would be no room, there would be no objects. So in this way, we can say that what is not there is more important than what is there. So it says, pay attention to nothing. As you do that, a shift in consciousness takes place inside you. Here is why. The inner equivalent to objects in space, such as furniture, walls, and so on, are your mind objects, thoughts, emotions, and the objects of the senses. Do you understand this? Thoughts, emotions, and the objects of the senses. That's everything you're experiencing. Thoughts, emotions, and the objects of the senses. Touch, taste, smell, hear. All of that is like the objects in the room, but they are not the space that is in the room. And the inner equivalent of space is the consciousness that enables your mind to be, just as space allows all things to be. Do you get that? Do you get that? And the inner equivalent of the space in this room is the consciousness, the now, that enables your mind objects to be, just as space allows all things to be. So, if you withdraw attention from things, objects into space, you automatically withdraw attention from your mind objects as well. In other words, you cannot think and be aware of space, or of silence for that matter. By becoming aware of the empty space around you, you simultaneously become aware of the space of no mind, of pure consciousness, of the unmanifested. This is how the contemplation of space can become a portal for you. So, yes. So let us carry on. Okay, not that much more. Space and silence are two aspects of the same thing, the same no thing. They are an externalization of inner space and inner silence, which is stillness, the infinitely creative womb of all existence. Most humans are completely unconscious of this dimension. There is no inner space, no stillness. They are out of balance. He's talking about with these people. There is no inner space, no stillness. They are out of balance. In other words, they know the world, or think they do, but they don't know God, the space, the consciousness. They identify exclusively with their own physical and psychological form, unconscious of essence. And because every form is highly unstable, they live in fear. This fear causes a deep misperception of themselves and of other humans, a distortion of their vision of the world. Because every form is highly unstable, they live in fear. This is why. And this fear causes a deep misperception of themselves and of other humans. They are not seeing the world for what it really is. Eckhart says, if some cosmic convulsion brought about the end of our world, the unmanifested would remain totally unaffected by this. A Course in Miracles, which is a great book you should read, expresses this truth poignantly. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. Simple but profound. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal actually exists. So here is the peace of God. When you realize this deeply, there is an eternal peace that never leaves you, because nothing real can be threatened in any way whatsoever. And you know this. There comes a point when you experience this. It becomes, you realize it. It becomes a reality for you. If you remain in conscious connection with the unmanifested, you value, love, and deeply respect the manifested and every life form in it as an expression of the one life. Beyond form. Okay, listen, guys, this is, it's all so profound, but my goodness. Whoa, Jerry, dang. Jerry says, I lost a nephew, age 16, to suicide yesterday. I feel this information would help with mental health wholeheartedly. Man, my heart goes out to you guys for that. That is tragically young. Oh, my friend, man. So, let us just get right back into it. If you remain in conscious connection with the unmanifested, you value, love, and deeply respect the manifested and every life form in it as an expression of the one life beyond form. You also know that every form is destined to dissolve again, and that ultimately nothing out here matters all that much. You have overcome the world, in the words of Jesus, or as the Buddha put it, you have crossed over to the other shore. Now listen, guys, this is where the peace of God comes in. This is the peace. Once you are able to remain in conscious connection with the unmanifested, you value, love, and deeply respect the manifested and every life form in it for what it is. It's an expression of the one life. Every life form is an expression of the one. Beautiful, radiant perfection, the energy, the source of all creation. But you also know, because you have seen the nature of reality, that every form is destined to dissolve again, and that nothing out here, and that ultimately nothing out here matters all that much. Yes. Thank you guys very much for sending positive energy to Jerry. Yes, we're sorry for your loss, my friend. Yes, definitely. Guys, this is why it's so urgent. This is why I come here every week, except last week, but this is why I will talk with people about this kind of stuff forever, as long as is necessary, because the world is hurting deeply right now, collectively. Maybe not individually because we have awakened, but collectively, absolutely, the world is hurting deeply. And so if more people felt the connected source of life, if they felt the presence of the unmanifested, the presence of God in their life as the source of creation, they would not be driven to this misery in order to terminate their own life, to do something like this. They would not be, everything would be completely different. So it is urgently important. This is my belief and experience that this kind of message is urgently important. Yes? So, you also know that every form is destined to dissolve again, and that ultimately nothing out here matters all that much. Guys, this is that sentence alone. Every form is destined to dissolve again. Every form meaning every person, but every situation, every life situation, everything, no matter how bad it is or how good it is, doesn't matter. It is destined to dissolve again, no matter what. Your life, your experience, everything is destined to dissolve. Now, the ego mind will take this and go, oh my God, I'm facing annihilation. And that's the worst fear of the ego. It doesn't want things to change. It doesn't want to be exterminated. It doesn't, because it's under the illusion that it exists right now. So when you wake up to this, you see that every form is destined to dissolve. And so you value it for what it is, but you don't put unrealistic expectations on form. A person, a situation, a relationship, you don't put unrealistic expectations, unrealistic things that you expect to happen from that onto that relationship or onto that person or onto that house or onto anything. It's all going to dissolve. It's a terminal diagnosis for every one of us. And that's just the nature of what is. So when you make peace with that, you have found the peace of God. Yes. Okay, we're almost done. Not much longer. Eckhart says, the true nature of time and space. Now consider this. If there were nothing but silence, it wouldn't exist for you. You wouldn't know what it is. Only when sound appears does silence come into being. Similarly, if there were only space without any objects in space, it wouldn't exist for you. Imagine yourself as a point of consciousness floating in the vastness of space. No stars, no galaxies, just emptiness. Suddenly, space wouldn't be vast anymore. It would not be there at all. There would be no speed, no movement from here to there. At least 2 points of reference are needed for distance and space to come into being. Space comes into being the moment one becomes two, and as two becomes the 10,000 things, as Lao Tzu calls the manifested world. He's talking about the Tao Te Ching, which you should read or listen to if you haven't already. Space becomes more and more vast, so world and space arise simultaneously. What appears to us as space in our universe perceived through the mind and the senses is the unmanifested itself, externalized. It is the body of God. And the greatest miracle is this: that stillness and vastness that enables the universe to be is not just out there in space, it is also within you. When you are utterly and totally present, you encounter it as the inner space of no mind. Within you, it is vast in depth, not an extension. Spatial extension is ultimately a misperception of infinite depth, an attribute of the one transcendental reality. So we're going to finish, because he talks about death here. So we're going to finish with this one, all right? Conscious death. Let me just read the rest of this. So we're almost done. Apart from dreamless sleep, which I mentioned already, there is one other involuntary portal. It opens up briefly at the time of physical death. Even if you have missed all the other opportunities for spiritual realization during your lifetime, one last portal will open up for you immediately after the body has died. There are countless accounts by people who have had visual impression of this portal as radiant light and then returned from what is commonly known as a near-death experience. Many of them also spoke of a sense of blissful serenity and deep peace. In the Tibetan Book of the Dead, it is described as the luminous splendor of the colorless light of emptiness, which it says is your own true self. This is what the ancients knew, the luminous splendor of the colorless light of emptiness, which is your own true self. That is the nature of reality. That is what you are. So, listen, I want to, before I carry on with that, I wanted to read this one last paragraph on this that I actually skipped. Eckhart says, hence, the ultimate purpose of the world lies not within the world, but in transcendence of the world. Just as you would not be conscious of space if there were no objects in space, the world is needed for the unmanifested to be realized. You may have heard the Buddha saying, if there were no illusion, there would be no enlightenment. It is through the world and ultimately through you that the unmanifested knows itself. You are here to enable the divine purpose of the universe to unfold. That is how important you are. That is what Eckhart says. You are here to enable the divine purpose of the universe to unfold. What higher calling can there be? What greater purpose can there be? So then he talks about this portal at the time of death, and we're almost finished. This portal opens up only very briefly, and unless you have already encountered the dimension of the unmanifested in your lifetime, you will likely miss it. Most people carry too much residual resistance, too much fear, too much attachment to sensory experience, too much identification with the manifested world. So they see the portal, turn away in fear, and then lose consciousness. Most of what happens after that is involuntary and automatic. Eventually, there will be another round of birth and death. Their presence wasn't strong enough yet for conscious immortality. We will talk more about that in future podcasts. The questioner says, so going through this portal does not mean annihilation? Eckhart says, as with all the other portals, your radiant true nature remains, but not the personality. In any case, whatever is real or of true value in your personality is your true nature shining through. This is never lost. Nothing that is of value, nothing that is real is ever lost. Listen to this, guys. Your radiant true nature, he's talking about when you go through the portal of death, your radiant true nature remains, but not the personality, because whatever is of real and true value in your personality is the radiant nature that is shining through. Do you understand? It's not your personality. You don't have any radiant nature. You are radiant nature. You don't have these attributes. You are this. So that nothing can be lost because it's what you are. You come from that. There is nothing that is of value, nothing that is real is ever lost. Approaching death and death itself, the dissolution of the physical form, is always a great opportunity for spiritual realization. This opportunity is tragically missed most of the time, since we live in a culture that is almost totally ignorant of death, as it is almost totally ignorant of anything that truly matters. And it's funny that Eckhart says something like that, but it's so true. So every portal is a portal of death, the death of the false self. When you go through it, you cease to derive your identity from your psychological, mind-made form. You then realize that death is an illusion, just as your identification with form was an illusion, meaning just as birth was an illusion. Birth and death are illusions. There is only the radiant light, the source of creation. Everything else is temporary, fleeting, and dissolving. You have to realize this, and you will be filled with the radiant peace of God all the time. In every situation, you will know exactly what to do, because the heart energy, it's the same thing he's talking about. I call it the heart energy. The heart energy guides you and directs you. Infinite spirit, infinite wisdom, yes, guides you and directs you and to the right thing in every situation without fail. You never have to worry again. The end of illusion, that's all that death is. It is painful only as long as you cling to illusion. Okay, my friends, thank you very much for hanging out and listening to Chapter 7. We might just go right into Chapter 8 next week, because I really, this felt really good to reread this chapter and then talk to you guys about it. So Chapter 8 is Enlightened Relationships. So if you guys are watching this after the fact and you want any clarification on anything or whatever, just let me know. And we can do that, because that's what it's all about. Because this is vitally important for people to realize, okay? This is vitally important for people to realize, because if everybody felt this, if everybody, you just want so badly. You just want for people to realize the infinite light that is within them, and it will dissolve everything. So, thank you, my friends. We will see you next week. Infinite Spirit goes before me and opens the way. Infinite wisdom tells me what to do and what to say. Infinite Spirit goes before me and opens the way. Infinite wisdom tells me what to do and what to say. Infinite Spirit goes before me and opens the way. Infinite wisdom tells me what to do and what to say. This is literally true. Thank you, my friends. I see you next week.